The old car, packed to the brim with tents and tasty treats, finally chugged to a stop right at the foot of the magnificent Magic Mountain. Isaac, Mila, Kiana and Jasmine tumbled out, their eyes wide with excitement and wonder. The air smelled wonderfully fresh, a delightful mix of pine needles and damp earth that tickled their noses. Towering trees with leaves of every shade of green stood like ancient silent guardians, their branches reaching up towards the brilliant blue sky. A little stream gurgled nearby, its water clear as crystal, singing a happy, bubbling song as it danced over smooth grey stones. It was even more beautiful than they had imagined in their wildest dreams. "Golly, what a splendid place for an adventure!" exclaimed Isaac, shielding his eyes as he looked up at the mountain's peak, which seemed to almost touch the fluffy white clouds drifting lazily by. Mila nodded in agreement, her heart thumping with a giddy sort of joy. The sunlight filtered through the dense canopy of leaves above, creating dappled patterns that danced on the forest floor like playful sprites. Kiana pointed towards a small clearing, a perfect spot nestled amongst the tall trees. "That looks like the best place for our camp," she declared, and everyone agreed at once. It was a truly perfect beginning to their grand camping expedition. Jasmine, who had been quietly taking in the breathtaking scenery, felt a thrill of anticipation run down her spine. The mountain felt alive, as if it were humming with a secret energy that only they could feel. She could hear the cheerful chirping of unseen birds high up in the branches, their songs echoing through the peaceful silence of the forest. The friends gathered their backpacks and gear, their spirits soaring as high as the eagles they hoped to see. They were ready for anything, ready for the magic that the mountain promised. The air was filled with a sense of promise, a feeling that something truly extraordinary was about to happen here. With a shared look of determination and pure glee, the four adventurers made their way towards the clearing Kiana had spotted. Their boots crunched softly on a carpet of fallen leaves and twigs, a sound that seemed to announce their arrival to the woods. Every step felt like they were walking into a storybook, a world far away from their everyday lives in the town. The mountain loomed over them, not in a scary way, but in a protective, watchful manner. They knew deep down in their hearts that this was going to be an adventure they would remember for the rest of their lives, a tale to be told again and again. The first task was to set up their tents, and the friends worked together like a well-oiled machine, their teamwork a marvelous sight to behold. Isaac and Kiana took charge of the big blue tent, carefully laying out the canvas and fitting the poles together with practiced ease. They laughed as they struggled with a particularly stubborn peg, but they didn't give up. Meanwhile, Mila and Jasmine worked on the smaller red tent, unfurling the fabric and hammering the stakes into the soft ground with firm, steady hands. They sang a little song as they worked, their voices adding to the happy sounds of the forest around them. Once the tents were standing proud and sturdy, looking like two colourful mushrooms in the green clearing, the friends decided it was time for a bit of exploration. "Let's follow the stream," suggested Mila, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. The others thought this was a smashing idea. They set off in a single file, with Isaac leading the way, carefully pushing aside low-hanging branches and pointing out interesting things. They saw a bright red toadstool with white spots, looking just like something out of a fairy tale, and a clever spiderweb glistening with tiny dewdrops that looked like a necklace of diamonds. As they ventured deeper into the woods, the trees grew even taller and the air became cooler. Kiana, who had a keen eye for nature, spotted a family of deer drinking from the stream. The friends froze, holding their breath so as not to scare the gentle creatures away. The deer, with their soft brown eyes and graceful movements, looked up for a moment before continuing to drink, unafraid. It was a magical sight, a quiet moment of connection with the wild inhabitants of Magic Mountain. They felt like privileged guests, allowed to witness a secret and beautiful part of the forest's daily life. Feeling wonderfully adventurous, the group decided to gather firewood for their campfire later that evening. Jasmine showed everyone how to find the best dry twigs and fallen branches, explaining that they shouldn't pull anything from the living trees. They made a game of it. seeing who could build the biggest pile. Their arms were soon full of wood, and they carried their precious collection back to the campsite, their hearts full of accomplishment. The sun was beginning to dip lower in the sky, casting long, mysterious shadows through the trees, and they knew an exciting evening was just beginning. As twilight painted the sky in shades of orange and purple, the friends gathered around a crackling campfire that Isaac had expertly built. The flames danced and leaped, casting a warm golden glow on their smiling faces. They roasted marshmallows on long sticks, watching them turn gooey and toasted. A perfectly sweet and sticky treat for a perfect evening. The sounds of the forest changed as night fell. The daytime birdsong was replaced by the gentle hooting of an owl and the cheerful chirping of crickets, creating a soothing nighttime symphony. The stars began to appear, one by one, twinkling like tiny diamonds scattered across a vast dark velvet cloth. Suddenly, as Mila was telling a funny story, a soft, shimmering light began to glow from a patch of moss near the edge of their camp. It wasn't the firelight. This was different. A gentle, pulsing light of a pale blue colour. The friends fell silent, their eyes fixed on the enchanting sight. The light grew a little brighter, illuminating a circle of tiny mushrooms that they hadn't noticed before. It was as if the mushrooms themselves were glowing from within, casting an ethereal light on the forest floor. "It's fairy light," whispered Kiana in awe, her voice barely audible above the crackle of the fire. The friends crept closer, careful not to make a sound. The glowing mushrooms seemed to pulse in a slow, steady rhythm, like a tiny, sleeping heartbeat. Just then, a flurry of fireflies rose from the patch of moss, their little lights blinking on and off as they danced in the air. They swirled around the campsite, creating intricate patterns of light in the darkness, circling the friends as if welcoming them. It was a truly magical spectacle. A silent, glittering ballet performed just for them. Jasmine reached out her hand, and one brave firefly landed gently on her fingertip, its light blinking softly before it flew off to join its companions. Overwhelmed with a sense of wonder, the friends sat back down by the fire, their hearts full of a quiet, shared joy. They knew they had witnessed something truly special. A secret of Magic Mountain that was revealed only to those who looked with open hearts. They didn't need to speak. The shared experience connected them more deeply than words ever could. They stayed up a little while longer, watching the fireflies dance and the stars shine, feeling like they were part of the mountain's magic. It was a night they would never ever forget, a memory woven from firelight, starlight, and the undeniable magic of friendship. The next morning, the friends woke up to the sound of birds singing their morning songs and the warm sunlight streaming through the fabric of their tents. They felt refreshed and full of energy, the magical night leaving them with a sense of peace and happiness. They worked together to make a hearty breakfast of scrambled eggs and toast over the embers of their campfire, their chatter and laughter echoing through the quiet morning air. Packing up was just as much a team effort as setting up had been. They made sure to leave their campsite even cleaner than they had found it, a sign of respect for the beautiful mountain. As they took one last look at the clearing, the friends felt a little sad to be leaving, but overwhelmingly grateful for the experience. The mountain stood tall and majestic, as if bidding them a silent farewell. Isaac took a smooth grey stone from the stream to keep as a souvenir. Mila picked a fallen maple leaf, its edges tinged with red, a perfect reminder of the forest's beauty. Kiana and Jasmine simply closed their eyes for a moment, trying to capture the feeling of peace and the scent of the pine-filled air in their memories, a treasure that would last forever and couldn't be held in their hands. The car ride home was filled with excited chatter as they relived every moment of their adventure. They talked about the graceful deer, the fun of setting up the tents, and of course the breathtaking sight of the glowing mushrooms and the dancing fireflies. They promised each other they would come back to Magic Mountain again one day to see if more secrets were waiting to be discovered. Their friendship felt stronger than ever, bonded by the shared challenges and the magical wonders they had witnessed together. They had relied on each other, worked together, and created a memory that was uniquely theirs. Back in their own beds that night, each of the four friends dreamt of their epic camping trip. They dreamt of tall trees, sparkling streams, and the warm glow of the campfire. The adventure wasn't just over, it had become a part of them, a happy memory they could revisit whenever they wanted. They had gone to Magic Mountain looking for an adventure, and they had found so much more. They had found real magic, not in spells or tricks, but in nature's beauty, in teamwork, and in the incredible, unbreakable bond of their wonderful friendship.